The world has known 2 world wars, each leaving scars that took generations to heal. The devastation was immense, and the recovery was slow and painful, affecting countless lives and reshaping entire nations. The thought of a third sends chills down our spines. The fear is palpable, a haunting reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat of conflict. Could it really happen again? And what would our world look like in the aftermath? The questions linger, casting a shadow over our hopes for a stable future. It's a terrifying question, but one we must consider. Ignoring it won't make the threat disappear. Instead, it leaves us unprepared for the unimaginable. The consequences are too great to ignore. World War III. The very mention of it conjures images of widespread destruction, cities reduced to rubble, and lives torn apart. Even the phrase evokes images of destruction, chaos, and unimaginable suffering. The human cost would be staggering, with countless lives lost and communities shattered. It's a conflict that could reshape our planet, redrawing borders and shattering the fragile peace we often take for granted. The geopolitical landscape would be forever altered, with new alliances and enmities forming in the wake of the devastation. While predicting the exact nature of such a war is impossible, we can explore potential scenarios. By understanding the possible outcomes, we can better prepare for the future and work towards preventing such a catastrophe. By examining the causes, consequences, and potential outcomes, we can gain a better understanding of the stakes, and perhaps find a path towards a more peaceful future. It's a daunting task, but one that is essential for the survival of humanity. This isn't about glorifying war, but about confronting its horrifying reality and urging for a different path. We must strive for diplomacy, understanding, and cooperation to ensure that the unthinkable remains just that, unthinkable.
Section 4. A World Remade, Political Fragmentation and New Alliances. In the wake of such widespread destruction, the geopolitical landscape would be irrevocably altered. The scars of war would be etched into the very fabric of nations, reshaping borders and redefining power dynamics. Existing alliances would likely crumble as trust erodes and mutual interests diverge. The bonds that once held nations together would be tested to their limits. These would be replaced by new partnerships forged in the fires of conflict. Countries would seek new allies, driven by necessity and survival instincts. Nations, weakened and desperate, might be forced to choose sides, further dividing the world. The pressure to align with powerful blocs would be immense, creating a polarized global environment. The very concept of nation-states could be challenged, as traditional boundaries blur and new entities emerge. The idea of sovereignty might be redefined in this new era. With new power structures emerging from the ashes, the global order would be in flux. Regional blocs, powerful corporations, or even warlord-controlled territories could become the new norm. These new entities could take many forms: regional blocs, powerful corporations, or even warlord-controlled territories. The balance of power would be constantly shifting. The international institutions we rely on, like the United Nations, might prove ineffective or collapse entirely. Their ability to mediate and maintain peace would be severely compromised. Imagine a world where the United States no longer holds global dominance. The vacuum left by its retreat would be filled by other ambitious powers. This could lead to a multipolar system with China, Russia, or even a united European bloc vying for power. The competition for influence would be fierce and unrelenting. International cooperation, already strained, could give way to suspicion and self-preservation. Nations would prioritize their own security and interests, making global collaboration increasingly difficult. The rise of regional conflicts and proxy wars would become more common, as major powers exert their influence indirectly. The world would be a more fragmented and volatile place. Humanitarian crises and refugee movements would escalate as people flee from war-torn regions. The strain on resources and infrastructure would be immense, challenging the resilience of societies. Technological advancements in warfare would also play a crucial role, with cyber warfare and autonomous weapons becoming more prevalent. The nature of conflict would evolve, making it harder to predict and control. Global economic instability would follow as markets react to the uncertainty and disruption. The interconnectedness of economies means that no nation would be immune to the ripple effects. Yet, amidst the chaos, there would be hope for a new era of diplomacy. The challenges could inspire innovative solutions and renewed efforts for peace. The future, though uncertain, would hold the potential for a more resilient and cooperative world.
Section 5. The Crumbling Pillars. Economic Collapse and Uncertain Recovery. The economic fallout from World War III would be catastrophic. Global trade would grind to a halt, financial markets would crash, and currencies could become worthless. The intricate web of global supply chains, already strained by recent events, would break down completely. The immediate focus would shift to basic survival, securing food, water, and shelter. Rebuilding economies, already burdened by debt and inequality, would be a monumental task. The most vulnerable populations, already struggling to survive, would face the harshest consequences. Imagine a world grappling with hyperinflation, where a loaf of bread costs a week's wages. Unemployment would skyrocket, and access to healthcare and education would become a luxury few could afford.
Section 6. Scars of War, Social Upheaval and Technological Shifts. Beyond the immediate physical destruction, World War III would leave deep scars in societies worldwide. The would not just be limited to the infrastructure, but would permeate every aspect of human life. The trauma of war, coupled with the loss of loved ones and homes, would have lasting psychological impacts. People would struggle with grief and a sense of hopelessness that could span generations. Trust, both between institutions, would be shattered. Communities would find it difficult to rebuild the bonds that once held them together, leading to a fragmented society. The very fabric of society could be reshaped. New social norms and values might emerge, influenced by the collective experience of suffering and survival.
Technological advancements, particularly in areas like artificial intelligence and robotics, might accelerate, driven by the need for reconstruction and the demands of a new world order. These innovations could revolutionize how we rebuild cities, manage resources, and even interact with one another. These technologies, while potentially beneficial, could also exacerbate existing inequalities and create new ones. The gap between those who have access to advanced technology and those who do not could widen, leading to further social stratification. Imagine a world where facial recognition and constant surveillance become the norm, justified in the name of security. Privacy could become a luxury, and the balance between safety and freedom would be a contentious issue. The digital divide could widen, with access to technology and information becoming even more unequal. Those left behind in this technological race might find it increasingly difficult to catch up, creating a society divided not just by wealth, but by access to knowledge and opportunities.